Welcome to Kusa Cast, where we interview some of the most influential people in tourism from around the world. My name is Graeme Watson, and I'm the founder of Kusa Global. The word Kusa means a new dawn, and in 2023, we want to find out just how our guests are working towards that new dawn. Join us and subscribe to future episodes as we hope to inspire you with stories of strength and resilience in the tourism industry. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Kusa Cast. I'm here with a new friend, Robyn Whaley, who I met last year. Robyn is the owner of Off the Track, a DMC based in Zimbabwe, and we're going to talk about the challenges of that business during COVID and learn a bit more about Robyn herself. Hello, Robyn, and welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
No problem at all, Robyn. So, so the way we start off is just introduce yourself, talk a little bit about your business, how you got into the industry, and then we'll take it from there. Thanks so much.
Okay, so I'm a born and bred Zimbabwean. I was born and did my school career in Zimbabwe. I then went to UK to do university and followed my now husband to Malawi after that. And that's where it all started in the travel industry. And I started working for Wilderness Safaris, which I absolutely loved. I'm very blessed to have twins and came back home as soon as they were born because I needed all the support I could get from all the family. And that's where I got the opportunity to buy Off the Track. Okay. Off the Track was a DMC that was mainly focused, is very well known in Zimbabwe, in the local market to do houseboats on Lake Kariba. Yeah. And the person I bought it from, she married a Zambian, so she needed to leave the country. So she was very sad to go. She wanted to give it to someone who had the same ethos that she did. So I bought it. I still obviously have a little bit of that local following, but because of my days in Wilderness, which was all international market, I then combined what she had with what I thought was the next best thing to do, which was international marketing. So with that combined, I now have the DMC that I have.
Great. And growing nicely. You told me that you've just employed new people. It's so lovely to hear the stories and how different the stories were from even a year ago. It's the positivity.
They're very different. I mean, obviously, so I'm marketing with DMCs on the marketing side. It very much is what you do today. You reap the benefits normally for 2 years' time. Yeah. A lot of it is relationships and trust. Yes. And so you've got to entrust someone with a lot of money, obviously, in a country that maybe they're a bit frightened of. For example, Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is quite scary to most international agents. So my role is definitely to make someone safe and secure and understand that their money is safe and secure with me, and their guests are going to go from A to B, and their guests are going to be safe. Yes. So I do a lot of marketing. I travel a lot. Obviously, pre-COVID, we were going on the up and everything was fine, but then we spent 3 years just redoing itineraries and moving them rather than achieving anything.
Cancelling rather than booking, yeah.
Correct. I mean, literally, it was just move, and you moved for a year.
Yeah, and then move again. Oh, yeah.
And then you move for another year.
I think you're singing the tune of many people listening, yeah.
Yeah, on the 7th of April, 2023, I had my last COVID travel. Do you understand?
Oh, wow.
So I was paid for this in 2019. Gosh. And they traveled. So I literally am finished. I'm very, very proud to say.
Well, that's excellent.
Yeah, but since COVID, obviously COVID changed things a lot for everyone in the industry. I'm sure you know that, for everyone.
Yes,
and I've kind of started from scratch again with the marketing. But the relationships are there. People have moved a lot in these businesses. You know, who they were with and who they're now with, and
or left the industry completely. Yeah.
Correct, exactly. And new people are in, so now you need to sort of start again from explaining who you are and building that trust again.
No, look, it's exciting times, and I think that there's such a feeling of camaraderie in the industry, and everybody is helping each other. I think the days after what we've all been through together, I think the even the competition, you're happy to help and share knowledge. I mean, that's what I'm finding.
Genuinely, in Zimbabwe, we have all of us DMCs meet once a month for lunch.
Incredible.
And we
Lovely.
all share information.
Yeah,
We
lovely.
literally are your competition every month. Anyone and everyone's invited. It can be suppliers, DMCs, everyone in the industry. And we all sit and we all knit a natter about each other's bookings. And did you hear? And didn't you hear? And
That's
it's
such
an
a lovely
industry
thing.
it is so amazing. I love the resource too.
Is it in different places or just Harare or Victoria Falls?
Only Harare based, and it's at a different restaurant every month.
Okay. Well, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, I spoke to Ross Kennedy a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, you know
he's part of it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So that's it's great. Yeah. So it's lovely to have everybody there and sharing the knowledge. I mean, I got to know you and was amazed with your knowledge and who you knew, and so definitely that's what inspired me to want you on as a guest to talk about the what Zimbabwe went through and the recovery and what's going forward. So I see that Zimbabwe is getting a new currency again. Is that true? There was some digital version I read about. Have you heard much about that? No.
No,
okay.
Please don't tell me that. We don't need any more. We've got plenty to deal with. It takes up a lot of our time already. We definitely don't need any more.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
so the currency issue in Zimbabwe is it's not as tricky as people think. And I know it looks scary, and I think Sky News makes it even more scary, and it's not. So when you're on the ground, what most everything in tourism is a US dollar based quote, and they don't accept any other currency. So they don't accept the Zimbabwe currency, which is it devalues too quickly. You often get paid for a booking in January where they're traveling in August. So you can't buy the bacon in January. You got to buy it in August. So it needs to hold its value. And it's very widely known. The government knows, ZTA, everyone, RBZ, there's no issues with that at all. So we actually have an exemption to most other industries in Zimbabwe. We have a special bank account that we can accept US dollars in, and it holds a US dollar value.
Okay.
So for us, it is quite different to being the sort of people that are service providers of other industries in Zimbabwe. But I don't know about this new currency.
Well, it was a gold backed, or I don't know, something like that. So just
we did. Yes, that's right. They released those gold coins, but I think they released like 10.
I don't know.
And then it all.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I read something about it. I could be wrong, or maybe I was a dream. Who knows? But we'll soon see, I suppose. And what is so obviously when you travel around the world, what is the main questions people ask? I know obviously from my experience that people assume Zimbabwe is just Victoria Falls. But there is so much to do, as Wangi and Kariba and all that. So you said you've just been to the States. How did that go? How was the education? What were people most surprised about?
So the biggest thing about my travels and about meeting people that aren't from Zimbabwe is like I say, the scary bit of it. So what I find with agents is it's easier to, for example, book Botswana. They know Botswana is slightly more stable and they have more access. So access is the biggest issue in Zimbabwe. So before I talk about any bed or any guide or any food or anything about Zimbabwe, I talk about access and how easy it is to get around and how people mustn't be frightened of it. We have so many different various options and airlines to choose from and transfer companies. It doesn't matter where you're going or what your budget is, you can get there. To be fair, the distances in Zimbabwe are very different to places like Botswana. So again, people see that and think the price, for example, a 20-minute flight in Botswana is going to be $200, whereas ours is $500, but we are flying an hour and 45 minutes to that destination, for example. So our distances are further. So that all of these marketing trips, I mean, America is a classic example. It's just educating people about Zimbabwe's mainly the logistics. People know that our parks are, if not superior, because we don't have such a dense lodge. There's not so many lodges in Wangi, for example, in comparison to the Delta, to give you an example. It's a much more sort of, in my opinion, it's more of a second timer safari experience in Zimbabwe because it is more rustic. It is more bush and more wild than other places, for example, Kruger, places like that. But it's just education. It's literally, I go around, I'm obviously, as I'm sure you can hear, very passionate about Zimbabwe, very, very proud to live here and raise my children here. And I just try to get that across to other people. That's why I want to go and sit with them so that they can actually understand and see me and ask all those questions. And you get an honest opinion of someone who actually lives there, not just someone who is selling a product there. I can actually give you honest, on the ground, what's happening stuff.
And what would you say? I mean, Hwangi. I mean, what would if guests had 2 weeks? What should they do?
So a big piece of advice about logistics in Zim is if you're doing a Zim itinerary, even if you're combining it with somewhere like Cape Town, for example, but if you're choosing Zim as your safari destination, I would advise is coming into Vic Falls and out of Harare, or into Harare and out of Vic Falls. Okay, it saves on the price of those internal flights or transfers a lot of money. So instead of coming into Vic Falls, doing your safari around Zim and back out, if you did it into Harare, do your safari and out of Vic Falls, it saves you a lot of money. There's a lot of airlines that do both. For example, Ethiopian, Kenyan Airways, Airlink, FastJet, they come both into Vic Falls and Harare. So it's no extra cost. There's no extra charge to this from their side. So I would say your absolute ideal. I like ending in Vic Falls, and the reason I like ending is because people go to the market and buy curios. So now, instead of lugging it all around Zimbabwe, when you've only got 20 kgs maximum, including your hand luggage, you know what I mean? If you want to buy soapstone, something or the other, you kind of need to do it at the end. So starting in Harare, again, you wouldn't overnight in Harare. There's no need. You would just get a flight, you'd land and get a flight straight out. The only time that you would overnight is if you were on Emirates. Emirates arrives too late in the evening. But every other airline, you'd get straight into the bush. Mana is just one of the best places on the planet. It's very wild. It's very untouched. It's on the Zambezi River, so it's a river experience. Then going across to Kariba, again, you've got your water and your land-based access in Matusadona, which is now run by African Parks. It's our only African Parks National Park, which is amazing. Then going across to Hwangi. Now, bear in mind that the animals that you're going to see in Mana and Kariba are actually different to Hwangi. For example, the giraffe and other things. So including it is essential. You can't leave it out. But Hwangi is more of just a sort of land-based activities. There are pans that are pumped, but other than that, you don't do water-based activities. And then obviously ending in Vic Falls. If someone has the budget or the time, including Matopus is really special too. Obviously, that's more of a cultural sell, so you include a little cultural thing into the safari, so it's not only safari-based.
Yeah, we were very lucky to go around with you, and we went to southern and northern Hwangi, which was awesome. And I mean those planes, the flights were excellent. Even the transfers were great. There's some lovely sightings as well. It's that lovely cheetah family. I don't know if you remember, and we went around with them, and I've still got that fantastic photograph of the cheetah on the rock, sort of looking for food for its little cubs. The thing is, so many different lovely experiences in Africa that you can have. So let's just talk about the business side of things. Your company, as you said, was doing well, and then of course COVID struck, but we somehow all managed to survive. And we met last year during Africa's Eden. I think it was in February 2022, February 2022, which we were still in COVID. There were still restrictions. There was still, and so I mean, obviously exhibiting to people while you're still in the pandemic, you don't know when all the restrictions are going to end. It must have been quite nerve-wracking to do, because we were only 6 weeks out of a red list lockdown and all that kind of stuff. So
and you didn't know where it was going. I mean,
no, you didn't.
Considering the 3 years before, and it went up and down and open and close and open and close.
Yes,
and
open and totally, still the PCR tests.
No, but like I said earlier, it's the marketing though, and it's the investment that you need to make as a business, especially as a DMC. That marketing is the core of your business. If that stops, if at any point you lose those relationships with people, then you don't have a business. Your whole business is based on relationships. So I know that, and having had off the track for as many years as I have, I know that about it, which is when that Africa's Eden opportunity came about, although we weren't making money at all, obviously no one was traveling yet, I knew that that investment was going to pay off. So it's like marketing, in my opinion, in this industry is an investment. You're going to be paid back at some point. It won't be soon, but 100% it will come back one day.
And I haven't paid you to say that, considering I run a marketing company. So, so just for any listeners,
100% true.
Yeah. No, but it is true. It's really, it's those relationships. It's the keeping up. It is the investment. It's just an unfortunate fact of life that you need money to make money, or you need assistance, from people to make money, and that's what we need to do. It's all just getting out there, shaking as many hands as possible now that we can, and doing what. And then, as you say, it's a long-term investment. It's not like you're going to go to America and then all of a sudden a flood of bookings. It's people sit on it, and then they'll get a query in 2 months' time, and then that's how it works. And it's just a matter of, I think we all had to learn extreme patience, didn't we, during COVID? Yeah. It was
and teach our children, which
yes, yeah, physically and like metaphorically and literally teach our children, because they could go to school. So how do you generally structure your day? Obviously, working, you're the owner, you work for yourself. It's very easy to think that doesn't need to have the eyes and ears on the pulse and what's going on. How do you structure? What's your productivity tools in terms of all the technology that's available? How do you make your day a bit more streamlined?
So we use HubSpot, which really helps. It helps align our relationships, because obviously we meet lots of people. So it's a tool that all of my team, not just me, because obviously I don't speak to them all the time and they don't speak to me about who they're talking to. So when it's uploaded and updated, I can instantly see who's doing what and who's speaking to who and how many inquiries we've got and what the conversion rate is from people that we're talking to, and why not? Why is the conversion rate too low, for example? What have we done wrong on that side? So I find HubSpot amazing. I really, really think it's an amazing resource. So our biggest tool in this, our biggest asset, is going to look at places and going to go and travel. So I do spend a lot of time traveling, and I do expect my team to as well, because you can't say you're an expert or something and then not go and see it, because you're not.
Absolutely, 100%.
There is constant traveling. So everything we do remotely. There's very few things that we do face to face with each other, because I'm away, and then when I'm away, Sarah's away, and then when Sarah's away, other Sarah's away, and you know what I mean. So it's technology is a massive part of our business, absolutely massive. I actually don't understand how someone who does what I do now, 20 years, I have no idea how they functioned.
Yeah, but I mean, I use HubSpot too, and it is incredible. You definitely need that kind of database to keep up to date with what's going on. But then also when you say that you need to travel so much and you need to be out there, what's your opinion then on camps that are still trying to not have readily available Wi-Fi and stuff like that because they want to keep the authentic bush experience? I very strongly feel that they're going to lose ground in the future, because people are just going to automatically assume that there's Wi-Fi, and with this, everybody's remotely working. And I honestly think that if anybody who's a property owner is listening and they're saying, no, we're not putting in Wi-Fi, we don't want the guests on their phones and all that, are going to fall short. That's my strong opinion. So, and they need to change their point of view.
I completely agree. I think you'll find, especially in a safari experience in all of Africa, the kind of demographic that you're trying to get into your camp are the people that likely, if not own their businesses, run their business,
and they need to be
on high up in a business. They've got to touch base. They've got to just double check. You can't go offline for 3 weeks and expect your business to still be running. I mean, it's literally not possible. I don't know a business that does that. So,
unless you're a billionaire, that you've got loads of people. But yeah.
But I do think that camps need to understand that there are ways to get around that. For example, make a Wi-Fi tent that's away from the main area. If they don't want people sitting like kids, for example, I can understand that sort of stuff. You know, someone's teenage child comes and sits and plays games, or I don't know, whatever. I get that. I don't disagree with that. So then do it in a space that suits everyone. But having it unavailable is 100% not an option. I would choose not to go there. I couldn't go there. My family couldn't go there.
Yeah, no, well, exactly. That's the thing. And yeah, so I think there's a lot of convincing that's needed. I've been saying this for 12, 13, 14 years. When people are saying, no, don't be stupid, no Wi-Fi, we got to have that authentic bush. But times people are just requiring it, and yeah, because people are just
pay for your holiday that way.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you wouldn't be able to go if you weren't able to work remotely, and it's free advertising. I don't understand why people would, so many in the growth of the instant live social media. Think about investment in Wi-Fi as having every single guest of yours. You don't know how many Instagram followers they've got that they can live stream from your lodge, watching the sunset, drinking a gin and tonic. And how many bookings you're going to get because of that. So it's definitely a very, very cheap way to get your business advertised. Yeah.
I completely agree with you. And when you get back home and you look at your photos, it's not quite the same as when you had that sundowner right there and then. And that's when they want to post it. You know what I mean? They don't want to get home. When they get home, it's going to be chaos. So they're not going to post the sundowner experience. And then, like you say, there's your free marketing.
Yeah. So anyway, it's certainly I think definitely going to have to happen. And from what I gather, Elon Musk is going to be blanketing Africa soon with his Starlink satellites.
I believe so. I saw it actually. It was on a Zim newspaper the other day. We were all so excited. I mean, it would just change our life really well.
Yeah, no, it will. And it's also the thing is, if you look at the map of Starlink now, it's all the developed countries that have very, very strong internet connections anyway. So get Africa covered and make it affordable. And the whole continent will, I don't know, it'll just literally light up because so many people. It's also like remote payments and all that kind of stuff. You need connectivity
make
for
life easier for everyone. Correct.
Yeah. And then what would you say, like, there's so many challenges in what we do when you start up your own business. I'm sure there's been, well, certainly, there's so many times that you just think, oh my gosh, like what have I done? So for anybody that's starting up with the challenges, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be very, very hard, and it's going to be the hardest thing you've ever really done is to not know how you're paying the bills next month and keep that belief and keep that faith. So in terms of the way tourism is going now in Southern Africa, or in Zimbabwe in particular, obviously there's a lot of positivity going around. So what advice would you give to someone that's just starting out?
Just to persevere. It is slow. All of us, it doesn't matter what industry or what business you're going to go into. So my husband is a self-employed person too. It's the same with their industry, which is completely different to travel. So my advice is literally don't give up. As little small jumps as you go, you will get there. And that is what I found with mine. It is very scary. Even now, it's very scary, especially post-COVID, because you kind of feel like you're starting again, sort of. I mean, I know you're not, but you kind of get that feeling. So, I mean, my team, as you know, is expanded, and I'm feeling petrified by it. But I know it's the right thing. And I know that the only way that I'm going to grow is to employ people. So you've got to do it. But taking that jump is very scary. And don't think that you're the only one scared doing it, because every single person that is doing those jumps is just as frightened.
Yeah. Well, that's what I always tell people too. Yeah, it's the image that we have to project is sometimes not the true reality.
What's going on inside? Correct.
Yeah, exactly. What's going on inside, behind closed doors. Everybody has a cross to bear, and that's what I've said as well to other guests on the podcast. If anyone's listening that thinks that they're falling behind in the recovery, listening to, we very much focused, or the podcast is very much focused on talking about positivity and rising up. The word Kusa means a new beginning, a new dawn, and that's what the focus of the podcast is, to describe what people went through, and and now the resurgence again. But I think there are still people that are waiting for their businesses to rise again, who shouldn't feel like they're doing anything wrong compared to anybody else. And that's a lesson I want to.
It will come.
Yeah.
Little steps get you far. Yes.
Yeah. Well, what did I read the other day? That a journey of 1,000 steps starts with one, and it's all. There's so many different motivational quotes you could get, but it is, for anyone listening who is still struggling a bit. It's not easy, and you literally just have to get up and go. And I've started to try and be one of the 5 a.m. club people. Some days it works, some days it doesn't. But definitely, from what I have heard, so many people get so much more productivity done in those early morning hours than anything else.
I'm one of those. Way more.
Are you good? Oh, is it?
Way
That's
more.
Awesome.
I hit lunchtime and I'm like, but I've achieved so much in that beginning that I'm one of those. But I've also got smaller children. It started with the small children because you got to wake up anyway. So you may as well do something constructive.
And then on the positive flip side of that, you could start drinking at 4 and not feel bad.
Well, exactly. 1 o'clock comes earlier.
Yeah, exactly. Because you just shift the day. No, this morning I was up 5:30, out at 6 for an hour and a bit walk, 5K walk, and just and then by the time you get back and shower and everything, it's still like 7:45, and you've done your exercise.
And you've cleared your head and you're ready. Yeah.
Your watch has told you you've completed most of your exercise goals for the day. No, I think that's what motivation to run a business and everything is one thing, but there's also the personal motivation, and it's a healthy body, healthy mind, all that kind of stuff too. So lying in bed, and even on the weekends, I just think lying in bed isn't going to propel me forward. Getting up and doing something is. And
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, you know what? Let's not be so hard on ourselves. Sometimes lying in bed and doing social media.
Recovery is as good as the exercise. Remember, recovery is just as important. But with winter coming up, well, certainly in Zimbabwe, well, anyone who's Zimbabwean, winter. I mean, when I say winter is probably a big word for people that live in England,
the UK, in Europe.
Yeah, our winters. We can't cope. Three months of winter. I mean, right now it maybe gets to maybe 15 degrees in the morning when I run in the morning too, and maybe 15 degrees, and that is Arctic. Actually,
Arctic. No. I mean, I'm from Durban, so anything below 20, there's panic in the streets. It's like a scene of absolute
all anyone
chaos.
Talks about. It's so crispy at the moment, isn't it?
It's so cold. The jerseys and the scarves and the gloves and everything. It's like 19 degrees, but. Yeah, no, it's funny, and then you go to places like New York in February, and my word, then you know what cold feels like when you literally can't even, you think you're getting lockjaw because you can't remove your mouth. Yeah. So with all the positivity and all the the way things are going, and thank goodness, I hope we never hear the term red list and lockdown ever again. I think a lot of decisions were made in haste, and I think now it's coming to the fore, certainly in the UK and everything, about decisions that could have been made better and decisions that didn't need to be made, perhaps. Is there anything that you think that you would still like to see change, that you've been kind of waiting for, and you'd think if this were to happen, it would just be phenomenal, even in terms of Wi-Fi everywhere, or basic things like that, specifically in a Zimbabwean context, ease of currency, ease of whatever,
So our one thing we have a really big issue with at the moment, and I just don't understand why it is still there, but we are one of the only countries, I imagine, in the world, I mean, I don't know who else has it, where we still have COVID restrictions.
What? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, no, we still do. It's embarrassing. Honestly, it's embarrassing. I came back from Joburg the other day. I mean, as I say, I travel a lot. I came back from Joburg the other day, and someone was standing there with a temperature thing, checking people's temperature off a flight. I literally laughed and said, are you actually joking? Someone is employed to sit here and take temperatures. What if someone has a temperature? What are you going to do? We're so far gone from that. We have so far moved on from, the whole world has moved on from this.
Even China.
So, this one I'm wondering, maybe China still has restrictions. I don't know who does, but we are unfortunately one of the only countries in Southern Africa that does. So Zambia dropped theirs. To be fair, Zambia only dropped it about a month ago. Botswana was a long time ago, but Zambia was quite recently, and we seem to still be in there. So that is my one really big thing. And we are all lobbying. We're obviously we all run WhatsApp groups with each other in the industry and everything. We are lobbying the government and lobbying ZTA, getting them to talk to the health ministry and stuff to ask them to stop. So basically, still for Zimbabwe, you either need a vaccination certificate or a PCR that's no longer than 48 hours old. So same story to come to Zimbabwe.
Gosh, but that's crazy, because those vaccinations, I presume, have all worn off by now, because they were literally just meant to contain the virus for a specifically short amount of time.
I think they were valid for a year or 2 years or something, correct. So mine is a validity that has expired, and I'm allowed to travel on mine, no problem. I never ever get questioned, no issues. Gee. So it's the strangest thing. It's I think like the person that needs to make these decisions has maybe told someone under him to make them, and they haven't quite got to the bottom person. Do you understand? So I genuinely think there's just a little step in the ladder that's been missed. So we need to go back to that ladder and go back down, because there's no reason for it. COVID isn't a thing here. There's no deaths. There's no worry for it whatsoever. No one's in a hospital or being treated for it. So I don't know.
Well, look, I mean, I think I still know people that are getting it and getting ill from it. But I mean, it's just one of those things that are on the planet now. And we can't hide from it anymore. Lots of people I know. And yeah, it's... Well, let's hope they learned a lot. The people that make the decisions learned a lot about what worked and what didn't. And I think travel restrictions were certainly destroyed a lot of businesses, and let's hope that those businesses are able to come right again. I have heard loads of great stories of people that are doing better than they were in 2019, which is awesome. And I think that maybe just the ability to take a step back and regroup and look at different things and learn different things was a good thing, maybe.
Absolutely. You see the positives like that.
Okay, Robyn. Well, great. So how would anybody listening to us now get in touch with you if they've got a Zimbabwe query? What's the best way?
Well, emailing you would work.
Yeah. GW at Kusa Global. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So what's your email address and website?
My email is Robyn, ROBYN, at offthetrack.co.zw.
Okay.
And the website address is www.offthetrack.co.zw. Okay,
perfect. And you do all of Zimbabwe and obviously the surrounding countries such as Botswana and
correct. Yeah. Just pretty much most of but I don't do South Africa. I don't know South Africa well enough. So I only do places that I know really well. I will not sell something that I don't know. And if I don't know it, it's okay to get the inquiry, and I generally know someone who does that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, great. Well, thanks so much, and it's lovely to get your perspective, and then we will see you at Indaba.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. We'll see you at Indaba.
Yeah, perfect, okay. Robyn. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for tuning into Kusa Cast, where we explore the world of tourism with leaders from all corners of the globe. Join me, Graeme Watson, for future episodes as we dive into the latest trends and insights from the industry. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating, and we'll see you next time on Kusa Cast.